It's like now we have calculators on our phones, and did I need to
Awesome.
learn how to do long division on a scratch piece of paper? I don't know,
I have
but
I'm not even sure I could still do long division on a piece of
I
scratch paper.
I'm telling you, I can't. Hey, I'm Teague,
And I'm Sam,
and we are your well-informed girlfriends.
bringing you stories that make you the smartest person at brunch.
Important.
Exactly. This week, we're talking about how women are being negatively impacted by the economy, the proliferation of AI-generated slop in the workplace,
Mhm.
and why college students often aren't hanging out IRL.
Whoa, in real life, if you don't know. Plus, why the government is working on an official definition of ultra-processed foods. Apparently, it's getting to be quite the mystery and what is actually in the food we're eating. How the declining birth rate may be overblown, and why the dating app Bumble, which is famous for requiring women to message first, is now letting the boys do the talking.
Oh,
Here we
boo.
go.
No, I'm just kidding.
All that
Exactly.
and so much more on this week's app.
Yes, thanks for joining us. So, bad news for girly pops in the workforce.
Okay, what is it?
Yeah, women accounted for 100% of the decline in the adult labor force in July.
100%?
Yes, this is per an analysis of federal data by the National Women's Law Center. So, 165,000 women stopped looking for work or working in July, while the number of men in the labor force, surprise, surprise, unchanged. And so, sure, the unemployment rate might be down to 4.1%, which is the lowest rate in more than a year. Shout out. But the unemployment only counts people who are actively looking for work. So once you stop looking, you're not considered unemployed anymore.
Okay.
So that unemployment rate didn't fall because tons of people found jobs. The economy actually lost 23,000 jobs in July.
Yeah.
Unemployment just like looks better because people, overwhelmingly women, are actually just leaving the labor force entirely.
Well, I've seen stories about, like people, childcare is so expensive. So is
Yes.
it something attributed to like people are having kids and the women are just choosing to like stay home, or like what's the vibe on
It's
that?
probably all of the above. I think there's
Yeah.
a combination of things happening. Like anecdotally, I can tell you that a lot of women fields, like apart from healthcare, women dominated fields like social media, PR, marketing, journalism, like a lot of these fields are seeing historic like shrinkage
Okay.
because of AI, because of the change in the market, that sort of thing. I think the other part of it is, yeah, the extreme cost of childcare in this country.
Mhm.
Whenever you have a child, it's often cheaper to stay home and work, stay home rather than go to work. And
Yeah.
so I think it's a lot of that. I also think, it's entirely possible that like as more women enter the sandwich generation where they're asked to care for both young children and aging adults, I think often women shoulder that responsibility. This National Women Law Center didn't really exactly say what was causing all of that, but I do think it's some combination of all of that, all of the above.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And 100%
I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
is crazy. Yeah.
That's so many women.
Ugh.
And I don't know about you, but like all of my friends that are unemployed, with the exception of like maybe one or two guys, are women. So, and I have like
Yeah.
probably 10, 15 friends that are unemployed right now.
That's interesting. No, it'd be
Journalism.
interesting to do like a deep dive into like why that is the case. But
Yeah.
I guess you're right. It's probably a combination of things. It's like the jobs that we have, and then also the timing of life and all of those things. But geez, wow,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
crazy. Okay, this next story, AI at work.
Yes. Okay. So AI is actually making a mess of how humans interact in the workplace.
How?
CNBC reports that like more and more people are trying to pass off AI generated work slop to their colleagues, but they're also accusing each other of being lazy and using AI, picking fights over who's smarter than AI, and
Mhm.
punting questions from the direct reports to the chatbots. And so people say, this is all per CNBC, they interviewed a bunch of people about this. People say their boss has encouraged them to use it to work faster or smarter, while their peers will sometimes give them sort of a side eye for taking a shortcut or questioning whether they actually did the work.
Mhm.
And then one Atlassian experiment of 1,000 Americans found people were perceived as lazier and less likely to be put up for big projects if they said they used AI in their work.
Oh.
And the article also noted that because job insecurity, like we were just discussing, is really everywhere these days, that's just making everything worse and tensions even more fraught.
Well, and it's also ironic. It's like, okay, so my boss wants me to use AI, but if I do use AI, I'm in trouble. It's
Yes.
like that seems very ironic.
It's very mixed messages for sure. And
Yeah.
then also bosses in this article said that they told CNBC, they told their staffers to go like ask AI before coming to them with a question, which in theory kind of makes sense, but that's called social offloading. And obviously, if a young person comes to you and asks the question, we know we could have asked ChatGPT or whatever,
Yeah.
but we wanted your expertise. And
Yeah.
so one expert said basically it's considered even ruder than sending Google results now. When you go to your boss and you ask them for something, you're like, oh, Google it, basically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like why. And it's also so funny. There's like been so many stories and people griping over the years of like, oh, people aren't interacting as much in the workplace. People got used to working from home. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, now we're back in the office and we want to talk and you're offloading your work to an AI bot.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly. It's a
like
real bummer.
weird. Yeah.
This article also featured, this is an aside, but they talked about how they had hired an AI expert at this one company this lady worked at. And she said that they emailed this AI expert and it was a fully remote person. And the AI expert, allegedly a human, had AI robots respond for him. And he said that when they were hired, okay, whatever. The AI robots stopped responding to them, or they would filter out all of the important messages so it never got to the alleged human. And they're like, at this point, this person's not responding. All of our stakeholders are mad. Is this even a human? Like, or is this some sort of AI robot?
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know. I'm like, that seems like maybe a scam, but regardless, that is what's going on.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and we have more AI stories.
Oh my gosh. Well, because I feel like AI is just one of the biggest stories out there right now.
Hot button issue.
It is a hot button issue, but I read this really interesting article in The Economist I wanted to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, AI might be making students better at their homework, but worse at actually learning. So The Economist reports these researchers in China tracked 27,000 students ages 12 to 18. After 6 months, the students who used AI on their homework saw their scores go up 18%, and they finished their assignments nearly 20 minutes faster, which sounds good in practice. But on exams, those same students saw that they scored 20% lower than kids who didn't use AI. And no surprise, that drop was concentrated among the people who used AI to rush through their homework. But students who used AI but still spent the same amount of time on their assignments didn't have a penalty. So basically, if you used AI as Google and still did all of your real homework, that was fine. But if you used AI to complete your homework for you, then you would do badly on tests. And then another study found students who used AI to learn an unfamiliar topic actually did better on tests even a week later. So it's like AI itself might not be the problem, but using it to avoid thinking probably is.
Yeah. Well, this feels like it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not surprising to me.
No.
It's like when people would like cheat on tests in high school and you're like, well, yeah, of course you didn't get it. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
You just like copy
cheating
and paste
essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting in that, like, I feel for, people in education that have to like regulate this, because you think about how difficult it must be to make sure students aren't using it, to make sure students are actually learning concepts, to make sure they can actually like practice things in the real world instead of like using AI as a crutch. And look, like the future will be different. Like we've talked about it before, but it's like now we have calculators on our phones. And did I need to learn how to do long division on a scratch piece of paper? I don't know. But
I'm not even sure I could still do long division on a piece of scratch paper.
I'm telling you, I can't. But it's interesting. It's like, maybe because of the world that these kids are going to be living in, they don't have to do all of the things that we were doing. So, I mean, I feel like academics in school and education, like so many changes I'm sure have come with AI that like, and as we see, those changes take so long to implement, like nationwide. And so I have a feeling there's going to be just a lot of changes, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of changes, what's this next story?
Gosh, this story is crazy. Did you see this?
No, I didn't. I'm excited to hear you tell me.
So this is like, I can't even believe this is true, but a school district in New York planned to bring an actual humanoid AI robot into a high school classroom as a teacher.
Like as an assistant teacher or the full teacher?
A teacher.
Oh.
So the plan was to put this robot in the classrooms and like have it like act as like an aid or like some sort of resource for the students. And they were going to like see how that went and then like start implementing more robots in their programs.
Oh,
Anyways,
goodness.
Obviously this has been paused because once parents heard, they're like, no, we're not doing that. What are you talking about? Like we're boycotting that. So anyway, just to tell you a little about the robot that they were putting in the classrooms, the robot cost nearly $60,000. And I'm also like, let's pay our teachers, but who am I? $60,000 and had been nicknamed Sally. So Sally is this life-size stationary humanoid robot she's got long dark hair. She's kind of pretty, honestly.
Oh, so she looks truly like a human.
Well, I mean, I think if you got close, you'd say, Sally,
a robot.
You're a robot.
Oh, okay.
But I think that she looks like a person. She doesn't look like a big tinkering.
Oh, okay. She doesn't look like R2D2 or whatever.
No, exactly. And so the school district was arguing that the robot, like Sally, could be essentially useful, like in a rural community. So maybe like
Oh,
there's less
sure.
teachers in a rural community and they need to like bring in someone to supplement something.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of how they were like pitching it.
Oh, all
Um,
right.
but obviously there were a lot of questions about student privacy and like
Right.
what's really crazy about this story and like what really got people talking about it was that um the person that made it, the company that made this robot, it's called Realbotics, and it's
Robotics.
connected through the sister company for a business that makes hyper-realistic sex dolls and AI-powered sex
Oh my God, I
robots.
don't know what to think about this.
Right. So, like, that was, like, the craziest part is, like, that the company bringing this person into or this humanoid robot into classrooms is essentially, a a manufacturer of sex dolls.
Oh no.
So Realbotics says that the businesses operate totally separately and that Sally was specifically built for education. She is not a repurposed adult product. So I just thought this was really interesting. I mean, do you think that there's a world in which we could live in where you would feel comfortable sending your child to a classroom being taught by a humanoid robot? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. You can't
No.
tell kids to pipe down when you're a humanoid robot. Like, right?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
have
know.
an amazing take on this because I've never even considered it before. I've never
Yeah.
once had that thought. I guess like to some degree, if there was a second set of eyes on kids, maybe that could be good. Like if
Yeah.
there were a human robot in there. But like, I don't know.
I know. I
Like,
know. I
do they
mean,
have cameras? Are they recording the students? Like, how long is the recording you know what I mean? I have so many data privacy questions. And like,
yeah, and I think that was one of the big
and it's like
concerns.
kids can't consent necessarily because they're so young, especially in like
Yeah.
younger classrooms. So
And
I don't know.
and also like, part of going to school and a part of like having great teachers is like, being able to talk to them with advice and like getting, you know, I don't know. I just feel like part of teachers are they're mentors as well,
Yeah.
and like not having that resource or like that as a part of the humanoid robot. I mean, maybe they're
Right. No, I
super
think
sympathetic
that's
robots, but I feel like it's dystopian to say the least.
right. No, I think that is super dystopian. And I
Yeah.
also just, I don't know. It's like, yeah, they can't help you get a job in the future. They can't like give you
No,
mentorship
where did you go to
after.
college?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, like, I don't know. That's not really that helpful. But
No. Okay. Well, speaking of college,
oh, yeah.
our next story is about how college students allegedly are just not hanging out. Isn't this
What?
crazy? Yeah. So there's a story from The Atlantic this week that is discussing this new trend. College students, they're just not hanging like they used to. And there's several reasons for this. A few of them I'm sure you can guess. First of all, social
Phones.
media,
Yeah,
digital, phones. We are on our phones all the time.
for
These kids
sure.
in college, it's very heightened. And there was some studies and research done recently that said that college students today are just spending less time hanging out face to face as a result of, the phones, but also the way that they're living. A lot of these kids also too grew up in the time of COVID
Right.
and like all of their big milestones and when they were like finishing high school, that was like in the pandemic and middle
Yeah, it
school.
would be hard to learn how to interact with your peers,
Yeah,
especially
'cause
if you were like at home the whole time during those formative years.
exactly. And they got used to these online classes,
Mhm.
spending time at home, spending time alone. And so some of those habits just continued after the pandemic and have rolled
Mhm.
over into this college experience.
Right.
They also talk about how recorded lectures and online options have made it easier to basically skip being on campus at all,
Oh, yeah.
which I have to say is just like, I think that's lame. Like if you're going to college and you're honestly, if I was a professor, I'd like get in the classroom. Like I'm not making this an option for you. Like you have to go to class if you want to get an education. That makes no sense. What are you just going to sit in your dorm room and watch class? I understand it's like helpful certain times when you're sick or something, but
Or like
no.
for studying.
Yeah.
I do they get I wonder if they got rid of those clickers. You remember when we were in college, you used to have to have a clicker to respond
Yeah.
and say that you were there and answer their questions throughout. So they made sure
Mhm.
you didn't just like show up and then leave or whatever.
Yeah, I appreciate that now.
I honestly, in hindsight, I hated them at the time. But in
Yeah.
practice, I'm like, thank God they made us do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I had like one class that was also online, but it had an in-person component.
Yeah.
And I remember so often I would just skip it because it was like 8 a.m. And I'd be like, I'll watch the recording later. And in hindsight, I'm like, I should have gone to that class.
Yeah.
8 a.m. is too early for college. Don't sign up for 8 a.m. classes, kids.
Yeah, I do feel like this is just interesting. But as a result, people are just like not interacting as much. They're not sitting next to someone in class. They're not eating together and going,
Yeah.
to the diner or whatever it is the kids go to, commissary.
Dining hall,
Walking
yeah.
back from class, hanging out after an event, and that's where real friendships are formed in college, right?
Oh, for
It's like in the
sure.
really small menial stuff, like going to the gym or like, being in your dorm room, hanging out spot. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
wonder how much of, when we were in college, they started renovating all those old dorms too to have more privacy. So
Yeah.
you'd have like one roommate, but then
hmm
like the door automatically closed and you used a beep thing to get in?
hmm
Like, but the kids that lived in Mark Twain, for those who went to Mizzou, like they're all still best friends.
Very specific and
But like
niche.
they're all still best friends because they lived in an older dorm with like a bunch of open doors. The doors did not automatically lock. They had a physical key.
Yeah.
And they like all had to hang out all the time. And the dining hall was right there. And it was like a crappy old one. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I actually find that they're like my year, all of those kids are still friends actually.
Yeah.
And so I think like some of that is a change in like the way that college infrastructure is set up even too. It like allows for
Totally.
more alone time and privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Which seemed like a luxury at the time because it was like, oh, nice. I get my own bathroom. I get my own things. But I do think there's a lot of like trauma bonding that comes with like living in an old
Yes.
building with kids.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think it does prepare you a little bit for real life and
Yeah.
what it means to exist in a shared space with someone.
hmm
I think also like our generation already, we were kind of getting away from a lot of kids sharing bedrooms.
Yeah.
But I know I went to college and never had to share a bedroom before, and it was a trauma. However, it was good that I learned how to do that because now I have to share a bedroom with my husband. So
Yeah.
it's probably
True.
good. It's a
True.
good life experience, you
Yeah.
guys.
And you're not in bunk beds anymore, but
Thank
still.
God.
Okay, this next story is pretty interesting. So, ultra processed foods, when you think of ultra processed foods, like what do you even think is in it? Is my question for you. Do you have an answer?
I don't really know. I know it
Right.
means they've been processed a lot.
Super processed. So, I guess the administration now is trying to get down to the bottom of this. RFK Jr. and the federal government are working on now creating an official definition of ultra processed foods, which could eventually influence nutrition guidelines, food labels, research, and regulation. So the problem is because food has evolved and like the way we've made things over the years has evolved so much, rules got away from us.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they started putting things in food that we had no idea about. And obviously over the years we've found out about red dye 40 and like the consequences of food dye and all those different things. But as a result of like not a ton of regulation, like now it's just kind of the Wild West of, what's going into our food. So it's just become harder because scientists use these different systems to classify foods.
Right.
And a food might be considered ultra processed under one definition, but not under another.
Mhm.
So the government is trying to come up with something like some sort of program to like regulate and figure out what is actually an ultra processed food so they can start making better guidance. But so for example, something like a flavored yogurt could fall into different categories depending on which is used. Like some definitions focus on the industrial ingredients and additives, while others considered how much the food has changed throughout the processing.
Oh, okay. That makes
So
sense.
like, yeah, it's really interesting. I do think it's good that we're starting to have these conversations about ultra processed foods. I mean, you think about so many things we eat in a day. I'm like, what is the Cheez-It? What is that? And it like it's pitched as like a cracker with cheese, but it's like absolutely not. If you look at the ingredient list, it's like I don't even think there's like probably any grain in this. Like what made this?
Yes. I think about
Um,
that every time I eat a protein bar. I'm like, oh, she's getting her protein in. But then I'm like, Lord knows what this is, but it's
Lord
fine.
knows what this is. Yeah, it's interesting. I know. I feel like as I get older, I really try to prioritize like real food because at least you like know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I should be doing that more. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's good. I like think it's good that they're starting to have these conversations because they've been just so broad over the years that they
Yeah.
haven't been able to regulate it, and now like we're starting to finally, hopefully, get some answers about what's in our food.
Yeah.
supply.
I would like to know.
Yeah.
So I'm here for that.
Okay, the next story I wanted to talk about. You know how everyone's always like panicking about birth rates?
Yes.
They're
yeah.
falling, and they're like, "Oh no, the sky is falling. We're not gonna have a population in a few years." Basically, it turns out that might not be as big of a concern as we thought. So the Atlantic released a piece this week that was talking about how the declining birth rates will eventually create some challenges, but the idea that society is headed towards some kind of demographic apocalypse is probably being overblown.
Yeah.
So they kind of talk about how like over the years, people have freaked out about this before.
Right.
You know, and we've been in this place and we've worried about population decline, and it's not that big of a deal. Also, they've talked about how fertility has fallen dramatically. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And there wasn't like one simple, I read this too. There wasn't like one simple explanation for why people are having fewer children too, which I think is really interesting. We've talked about this a few times, but like some people say it's expensive childcare.
Yeah, for
Other
sure.
people blame like changing attitudes towards marriage and family. But like even in places with generous like social programs that do support parents, they are having fertility fall there too. So, but like the biggest overarching theme was that like as people become wealthier, healthier, better educated, they just tend to have fewer children. And so that's probably why governments are having a hard time convincing people to have more kids.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons people are freaked out about the declining birth rate, besides like having productivity and like making things and whatever, is also because of programs like Social Security. And if you don't have a lot of people growing up and paying into Social Security, then who is going to be paying for Social Security when we get older? You know, right?
That's one who's going to care for the old people?
Right. Exactly. That's kind of
like help them out on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And like also you have to think about too, like schools and businesses, infrastructure, all designed for a larger population could become like underused or fall into disrepair.
Yeah, exactly. But the TLDR is that this falling birth rate situation is something that societies will probably have to adapt to, especially as populations get older. But this panic about population changes, it's happened before. And like the worst predictions probably aren't the ones that are going to come true.
Yeah, so the truth is somewhere in the middle.
The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Classic.
So declining birth rates, don't lose sleep over it. I think we're going to be fine. We're going to figure it out.
Great. Well, I won't feel bad about it then.
Yeah. I mean, there's like some things like that too. Like I think about the water in California and I'm like, I lose sleep over that. And I'm like, we're going to have to figure that out, right? Like, or not.
Like someday we'll figure out desalination or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's currently this long battle over the Colorado River for like drinking water. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Like the coming water wars, what will happen? I don't know. It's fine. We'll be fine.
We'll do a story about that next week because it is interesting.
It is so crazy for sure. Oh my gosh. Okay. Our last story of the day I think is really interesting.
Okay.
So Bumble just got rid of the rule that basically made it Bumble. So for more than a decade, the dating app's whole thing was to make women message first, right? But according to Wired, Bumble's now letting men message first. And the reason Bumble says is that 66% of women they surveyed actually prefer that. They prefer the man to message first.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yes. Were you a first message girl?
I mean, I didn't really have that much success on Bumble, but I found like oftentimes men just like wouldn't respond. But it's also, so I do think sometimes it would say that it was expired, like, or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And the app is also extending your time to respond to matches. So it used to be 24 hours and now it's going to be 72. And I think that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know about you, but I never was able to respond within 24 hours on any app. But
no, that's interesting. I feel like it is nice to have a guy message first. Like that's my preference always. Like I don't know if I've ever messaged someone first. Like I don't really.
So you're not on Bumble.
It's not. Oh, I've never done Bumble. But like I'm just thinking of like
In
the dating
general,
apps I have done, like a Hinge or something. My preference is for a guy to
Why do you think that is?
Well, because I think I like a guy that like takes initiative and like wants to, like I want a guy who like wants to intentionally date. And so I think if like there's somebody that like is like waiting for me to message first, I'm like, whoa, okay, we're not in this.
Yeah,
I don't
fair.
know. I just like I would like someone to like be like, I want to get this ball rolling. You know?
Taking initiative. I think that's a good point, and I think that that's totally fair. I also think that probably at scale for people using Bumble, there are like certain guys who get all of the messages. You know what I mean? Like I think girls are often looking for certain characteristics. Yeah. And so I think those guys probably are inundated with women messaging them, and then like other guys just like don't get that many. And so I think probably it's more of a leveling of the playing field, so to speak, to allow men to message first too.
Yeah. But I will say like Bumble, what are you going to do now? Like you got to diversify in some way. Like if this is Hinge now. Bumble is now Hinge. It's the same thing. It's the same concept.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like most people are on like multiple dating apps anyway too. So you might just be saying the same cast of like 10 guys.
Right. You've like diversified your dating app portfolio.
Yeah, exactly.
Several different.
Yeah, you're out here moving markets, okay? Yeah. Like get ready. I'm high value woman, right? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This has been great.
Yay.
If you could tell your friends to listen, we'd appreciate you forever.
And if you like and comment, we love you forever. Thank you for the comments you've been leaving, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.